So both of our fullbacks got assists. Tomiyasu got an assist for Saka's goal, and Zinchenko got an assist for Odegaard's goal, which is great to see. We'll talk about Zinchenko first because I think he's probably the hottest topic. Um, what did you make of his performance before his blip at the end of the game?
I think Zinchenko is so integral to the way that we play. He's bold, he's brave, he's creative. Like I love seeing him get an assist. Like just the build up to that assist. You're looking at that ball come out to him, and you're not thinking that he's going to play it to Jesus, but he thinks so fast, and he always, he's planning, 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of what he's going to do, and he offers so much value to the side. The upside of Zinchenko is absolutely massive, and we can't ignore it. I kind of feel like Zinchenko is a little bit, like when David Raya came into the side, and we're like, oh well, he doesn't find a player, and he loses the ball, and then people are like, yeah, well, go and look at Alisson, and go and look at Edison, and then come back to me, and you're like, oh okay. So there's a risk reward scenario with players like this, and Zinchenko is a risk reward player. The risk that he brings to the side is generally worth it, but then he does have these donut moments where you're just like, you're a player of your experience doing that. They're not even like
It's not even
little
defensive.
mistakes. It's
It's not
just
even defensive. It's on the ball stuff. Just brain farts. It's
it's
crazy.
like I'm tired. Like
Yeah.
he didn't play a lot of games for Manchester City. He was like a 15, 20 game a season player, and now he's expected to play 48. And I just wonder, after he's the Zinchenko zone is between 80 minutes and 95, and he gets a bit tired, and then he's just always got a bit of dumb in there. Always
Yeah.
got a bit of dumb in there. And I think the biggest worry for Zinchenko is Timber. I don't think Timber's coming for right back. I think Timber will be getting more minutes
Really?
on that left side. 100%. Yeah. I
I
think
thought I am so like I thought he was coming in for the right. I just don't I'm like we brought a right-footed player that usually plays right center back in a three kind of thing for the
I
left back role, or do you think
I
Arteta
think you're gonna
stumbled upon it in
I
preseason?
I I think I like we've got a 55 million pound right back, who was a centre back, and he's a right back, and I think he's really effective, and he does a great job. And I hear people saying Tomiyasu's a better defender than Ben White, and I just don't know how you measure that precisely. I think Ben White is a top player, and he's a warrior. Ben White, if Ben White lost a foot, he would try and boot up and get out on the pitch. And I think Arteta loves having that mentality. Like, he's unfazed, he's annoying, and he's high quality, and he's getting better and better. I think the weakness in the side is on our left side, and there are two things with Zinchenko. He is prone to doing those silly little mistakes, and Arteta will have noticed. And I think that the other thing that you've got to keep in the back of your head is he's injury prone, and those injuries come regularly. Will be like 12, 13 games, and then he's out for a month. And Arteta prioritizes availability, and hopefully, when Timber comes back, I mean, this is a player that's been incredibly available over the last few years. Like, he's a rugged player, and hopefully this injury won't turn him into someone that gets a lot of injuries. But I think you're going to see Timber more on the left. I think he'll, probably be a bit, he will be another tool in the tactical arsenal. But if I was Zinchenko, I'd be a little bit worried. And it was notable
I'm
that
sure he was
Zinchenko
worried.
said he's a really good player.
I'm sure
Zinchenko
he
was
was
the first.
worried during the
Yeah.
Community Shield. I remember I was there and I was sitting there and I was like, you know what? Zinchenko needs to watch his back because Timber looks like a real
Yeah.
player back there. And because he does a lot of the Zinchenko-y things, but he's a better defender because he actually is one. So yeah, I can't wait for
And
Timber to come back.
a little bit more of a physical presence as
Yeah,
well.
he plays like a 6 foot player. Like he looks like very athletic. I love
Yeah.
Timber already. He only played one competitive match for us, like a half a match. And I was just
We fell
like,
in love
wow.
so hard.
Yes. So like it's like the presence, like his lack of presence is felt. And I think I think he'll come back before the end of the season, but I don't think he'll play like a major role or anything. But I'm just looking forward to having him at some stage. But with Zinchenko, everybody knows I'm a big Zinchenko defender. I think what he adds going forward is, like you said, worth the mistake that's going to come. with him like losing concentration. And he's had quite a few. I've written some down. Against Brentford, he had to make up for his mistake in possession by getting the block in. Against Fulham, unnecessary corner that actually ended up being the equalizer. And Chelsea, he had one at the very like first 2 minutes of the game where it's like just kick it out. And so he has to be careful with that. And that kind of leads me into the conversation around Tommy, because he got injured at the 79th minute. He was having another fantastic game. Got an assist, I mean, people on the timeline were like, he's got this position. This is his position, But then he gets injured in the 79th minute. I feel like it brought us all back down to earth that this player has a difficult time keeping his fitness. And after the Lens game, Mikel did say that we're very thin at the back. And I think that like kind of got my antennas going like, ooh, we may be managing some injuries here. Maybe Arteta doesn't view some people view our defense as fine because they're like, well, Kiwior can step up at center back and so can step up at center back. But I don't know if Arteta wants to move Ben White and Kiwior from those fullback positions and put them central. I don't know if that's what Mikel wants to do. And we're already talking about Tomiyasu and Zinchenko, two injury-prone players that are going to play a lot of minutes for us. So that definitely, I was like, oh gosh, Um, what happens when you don't have Tommy is you actually don't have the option of that 60th minute defensive option that we've been using when Zinchenko gets tired and is about to make that mistake. Tommy would come on. You also miss that strong defensive option for those away days for Liverpool because Liverpool is coming up soon. Idealistically, you'd want to have Tomiyasu there. How do you feel like Arsenal should cope without him if he were to be injured for a certain amount of time?
It's concerning. We've had 2 seasons in the last 3 where Tomiyasu injuries have killed us, or is it in the last 2 seasons when we had no backup at fullback and we played him against Leeds, and then he came back. I think he came back for the Manchester City game. He got injured and we didn't see him for the rest of the year. Calf injury issue. Then last year, when we were trying to make a title run, losing him at the same time as Saliba, that was curtains on our season. And it's starting to get to the point where it's like he's such a good player, and we rely so heavily on him, and then he's gone and he's not available. And this is where I am with like the new deal that we're trying to give to him. It's like, do you give a contract to somebody for another 4 years until he's 29 years old? Are these injury problems going to go away, or are they just part of how you manage him? Because it's a calf problem again, and those are the injuries that he had when he was in Italy. Those are the injuries that he's had here, and it's generally 10 to 11 games, like clockwork. He's out. And I don't know why. When I was on my live on the whistle yesterday, so many people were saying, no, he's fine, he's fine. I was like, how do you know? Have you done a scan on him yet? But I'll be really, really disappointed if he's out long term. And I hope that he was just taken off as a precaution. But history tells you that probably unlikely. My concern with Tomiyasu is the history of injuries. It's cost us in at least 2 seasons. We didn't make top 4 when we lost him, when we had no backup for fullbacks. And then last year, we could have used him to replace Saliba, but he got injured in the same game. And are we going to give a new deal to a player with an injury record like this? Because these injuries were happening when he was in Italy. So
Right.
they're part of who he is as a player. And I wonder whether that defender that we're rumoured to be looking at is somebody that can come in and take over from him at some point, because Arteta does not hold on to players that have injury problems for very long. Kieran Tierney, we all loved him, but he's in Sociedad at the moment, and he's there, I think, because of his availability issues.
Mm. Yeah, and I don't know if people are like, what's going on with Tierney? He's injured, guys, or he's just coming back from an injury. He's been gone for a while. So Tierney continued with those injury issues at Sociedad. But yeah, I do worry about the Tomiyasu thing because he's so freaking important. Like I said, to do the 60th minute thing for Zinchenko. Those mistakes don't happen with Zinchenko if you have the opportunity to bring in Tomiyasu at the 60th minute when it always happens. Or, when you go to the big away sides, or you're in Europe, you can just start Tommy from the beginning. So you lose that opportunity, especially like if Ben White is dealing with injury issues or he's dealing with a little something. We are very light at the back and the fullback areas. We really are. No Timber. So I understand what Arteta was saying now. The one player that I do think that Arteta is underutilizing is Kiwior. And I think going into this period, he needs to find ways to integrate Kiwior in because even if Kiwior is not Arteta's cup of tea, Kiwior is a better defender than Zinchenko. He won't be able to do things exactly the way Tomiyasu was doing them, but you can still use Kiwior as that 60th minute sub. You can use him in the away games. Like every time Kiwior is played, I don't know how you feel about it. I think he's actually looked capable, but he's so far down the pecking order that even when he plays well, he doesn't really get a chance, you know? Do you think that like even maybe against Luton, he should maybe look at playing Kiwior in that game to get him some more minutes to get integrated. Because if Tomiyasu is injured, we need another solid defender to play at left back.
Yeah, everything that I hear about Kiwior behind the scenes is really positive. Like he's highly rated. We signed Kiwior early because we had identified Martinez, Lissandro Martinez. We'd identified him a year before Man United came in. We didn't go for him, and then Man United got him, and then they had to spend 65 million. So Kiwior is another player with a similar profile that we picked up a year too early in his development, but he's someone that they've got high hopes for. And he played games at the start of the season. I think that he's going to be an important player as he adapts to the system. I think Luton is absolutely perfect game to give him a chance. We shouldn't be having problems against a team that weak, and I don't even think he's that much of a high risk, really. I mean, he's always done really well when he's come on. It's just that we're now comparing him to players that are at the absolute top of their game. I mean, like very difficult to get in ahead of Gabriel or Saliba, and that left-sided position feels locked at the moment. But I think Arteta might quite like the idea. Might like the idea of having a left back with the additional height that he can offer. I mean, we'd be pretty lethal from set pieces with him in that back four.
What are your final thoughts on the game for Wolves? Like what is your final like takeaway from that game?
That we've hit fourth gear. We've been in third gear all season. I think the first 3 months of this season, I believe that there was going to be some pain coming into the system. Losing Granit Xhaka, one of the best left-sided eights in the world last year, was always going to hurt us. Losing his leadership was going to be difficult to absorb. Bringing on Declan Rice from West Ham, he's been playing Moyes ball for a long time. It was, he had some challenges coming into, Arteta's regime where, it's very intense training sessions. You've got to learn a lot of new things. Kai Havertz was always going to be a rehab project. And Arteta needed to address the fundamental issues that he had in his system and move away from bang-bang football to something more controlled. And when you're moving to something new, when you start to learn the new dance moves, the new choreography, it's clunky to start with. And as when we first started with Arteta, it was kind of robotic, kind of slow. But we've kind of picked up the tools really quickly. We've been winning whilst learning a new system. And now the new system is trusted by players. And now you're starting to see some of the sparkle. Now players are like, I understand the basic dance moves here, and I'm going to riff on top of them. And I think that the Lens game in the week was the first game that really gave players confidence. This new system, we can offer control, and we can do absolute madness in the final third. And there was concern that, no, Wolves are not going to be the same as Lens. Well, they were treated the same as Lens. And the only difference is, 5% here and there on finishing. So I think we've kicked up into fourth gear now. I want to see us do some damage to Luton. Aston Villa is going to be a huge, huge test. And then we've got two teams that we don't like playing against. Brighton, they're always a nightmare for Arsenal. And Liverpool away. If we can take fourth gear into those games, we've got a very good chance of coming away with the points that we need. But I'm really happy that we're dealing with teams like Wolves and Lens. We're almost disrespecting them with our football at the moment, and that's something we haven't seen. But I'm really excited.
But yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that there was a lot made of the lack of fluidity. I think a lot of Arsenal fans kind of disregarded our defensive solidity. But if we can combine the attack that we had from last season with the defensive foundation that we have this season, I think we're really building something special.